Welcome to episode 168 of Broad Street Hustle. I'm back this week. Your host, Tommy Nanny, bringing you a fun and exciting action-packed show. We'll cover some Phillies, Saratoga talk, and some picks. Let's go around the horn. We got Jason Sayeta.
What's up, Tom?
Jason, how's it going? We got Jimmy the Chalk.
Welcome back.
Welcome. And we got no one better than Jimmy D.
It's always a pleasure, Phil, as always.
A little housekeeping. I think next week we'll try to do a show a little bit earlier in the week for the Travers card, and then is it football after that?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
football previews the week
And
after.
then we'll have our big football preview show where we'll go through the whole season. It's always a fun show. Tonight's episode brought to you by Nina's Pizza. Tried the rest. Now try the best. All right, let's just jump right into it. Got the Phillies. They're playing now. They're up 2-1. They're on a 2-game skid after being a little hot there. Luckily, the Mets are horrendous, and the Phillies still hold a 5-game lead even after their last 2 losses. Trying to get back on track tonight. We could take the direction of the Phillies in many different ways, but I'll leave it up to you, Jason, to kick us off and kind of go from there.
Yeah, so the Phillies are in the midst of a pretty lengthy road trip here. Started out really well, won the first 4 in a row, and then just hit a little bit of a rough patch, big rough patch in the last 2 games. I had a couple things on my mind that I wanted to kind of talk about. I guess Let's start with the good, right? You know, when I think of uh, Wheeler and Sanchez, and I'm not as concerned with Wheeler as some people may be. And I think Tom, you've mentioned it before that like around this time of the year,
My prediction was Nola comes back and Wheeler goes on the IL.
it could be, yeah. Now they did mention tonight that they're going to have a 6-man rotation, but they could change their mind and put Wheeler in the IL. But he always has a little bit of a rough patch with like a dead arm at this point of the year, so I'm not concerned at all. But Wheeler and Sanchez, you got them 1-2 in a series, right? And the back end of the bullpen, I mean, as much as I think some of us were concerned about Kirkby, including me. I think he's become like a solid eighth inning setup guy, and of course, Duran is just lights out. So, I mean, you theoretically in the games that Wheeler and Sanchez pitch, you may need at most 1 inning from a Robertson Strom, type kind of combination to get through the inning. If that, like, and those guys go 7 innings, you legitimately like could just have lights out guys for the whole game. So, with that being said, I mean they're built for the playoffs with those 2 guys. Now the issue is after that, um, Ranger Suarez is leaking oil big time, really big time. And I mentioned it to Jimmy the Chalk last week, and this was before his last start. I was starting to see, and we were all worried that he was leaking oil. Um, I don't think it's out of the question, and I would consider doing this to take him out of the rotation and make him your 7th inning, high leverage guy in the bullpen for the playoffs. If Nola could come back and be somewhat of what Nola should, we expect Nola to be given the money he's making, and he's kind of righted the ship. Other than those he really had 2 or 3 really bad games, and other than that, he's been pretty solid. So, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Like, if things keep going like they are, I kind of think Ranger he just hits a spot where he's kind of out of gas, and I think he's the one guy when you're going to have to pull somebody out of the rotation in the playoffs. You don't need 5 starters. I would make it him.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer that it's Suarez because I mean he's done it before in the playoffs. He
Hmm.
At this point, you give him the ball, he's not capable to go more than 5 successful innings, and even that could be a stretch. And if you remember in the playoffs, the years he did start, he would pitch like 3 1/3, and then they would
Three,
pull him.
4 innings. Yep. Hmm.
Um, So Luzardo, we mentioned maybe a bullpen guy, but he has the potential to go out there and still give you 6, 7 innings. I mean, I think the problem with Luzardo is sometimes it's ugly. I mean, last start it was very ugly, and then you look at his box score, he goes 7 innings, 1 run. Tonight you're like,
Yeah.
he's at what 6 innings, 1 run right now. So some of it with his is just an eye test. It just looks ugly, but he gets the job done. So to me, it's like a no brainer. Now I'm intrigued by the 7th inning possibility. Especially if you're looking like a Strom against lefties, like why not go with Ranger there? Robertson, maybe
Yeah.
if he can get it together. I mean, you got
Yeah.
Alvarado for the regular season.
To, to me, Strom cannot pitch high leverage
I
situation.
agree.
Like
I would agree. So
yeah.
I would have no problems with that. Chalky.
Well, I mean, if you think of, like you mentioned, like who's done it before, Ranger's done it. He's come out of the bullpen in the playoffs and been a starter. The devil's advocate I'll play on this is that this is like the third or fourth year in a row he's had the second half fall off, but he's been able to turn it on going back into the playoffs, even if he's giving you 5 innings. Thompson doesn't like to go more than 2 times through the lineup, even if he's pitching well. So 5 or 6 is all you're looking for out of him. And again, last night it was, or not last night. Was it? When did he pitch? Was it Tuesday or last night? I don't even remember anymore.
No, last night was Sanchez.
Last night was Sanchez.
Yeah.
So Sanchez had the inning where there's the couple errors and that sort of fell apart. Ranger almost got out of the 1 inning, didn't get the call he wanted, and then mentally he sort of, I don't know if he broke down, but we're seeing this almost every game. Like he's almost gets out of an inning and then he doesn't get a call his way, and then next thing you know it blows up. And where this pitching staff is excelling because they have to is they're letting a lot of guys on base. Like they're in the bottom half of the league as far as opponents' batting average and on base percentage, but they're getting out of trouble more often than not. But that's not a winning formula you want to keep to have doing in the playoffs. So the other part I would say is, and we've talked about this, is Luzardo is going to exceed innings pitched before. So the question, do you trust his arm to be able to exceed his career highs going into the playoffs? If the answer to that is yes, then yeah, I think Ranger's the guy you move. Honestly, if you don't have complete faith in Luzardo, as crazy as it sounds, is Walker a super awful option to let him pitch 3 innings to start? I mean, he's been pretty consistent. I don't want to do it, but he's been a different pitcher this year. And you look what he did Monday when he pitched, right? So I would have thought that was crazy a year ago, or so, but it doesn't sound so crazy now, especially if you're going to use Suarez in that. Now you're going 3. I would prefer to have a lefty, so you could go righty lefty, however you want to do that with the way the matchups go. But I think Suarez would have to be the guy if you want to try to do that, because Luzardo's never done it. So that's the guy. But he comes up big in the playoffs, and it's hard to say, well, he's just going to do it again. But he does have a little bit of a pedigree. He's just not. I don't have any. I'm glad they're going to a 6-man rotation, because that should save. It'll save innings for Luzardo. It'll save maybe some strain on Wheeler. It'll allow Noel to work his way back in, and Ranger, whatever's going on, will give him some time. Somebody will probably be hurt by the end of the month, but if it stays that way, I think it'll work out okay.
Yeah. Do you guys remember, before I move it over to Jimmy D, do you guys remember Rangers' problems in the past? Like, because this year his velocity is it's couple miles per hour on every pitch. So Chalky mentioned he didn't get a call. Well, yeah, he's a guy that if he's location, because he's not going to overwhelm me. Has he had the velocity dips in the past when he started to struggle at the end of the year? I honestly don't remember this. I didn't know. I don't know.
I think so.
I feel like he did last year, but he had such a good start last year with the All-Star team. I honestly can't say, though.
Yeah, Jimmy D?
I hear you guys talking with the pitchers, but at least you got options there. Whoever goes to the bullpen, it's really, you're given a grant of options. I think the problem with this team lies in their offense. They do not clutch hit. And that's been over and over and over again. You look at their averages, and they're very pedestrian, the average of this team. But when you look at their averages when people are on base, it's even worse. And you talk about, it got inflated playing these Washingtons of the world. The same thing with the pitching. You say Luzardo is good tonight. He's good tonight. He's playing the Washington Nationals. That's a minor league outfit over there. That's crazy. The Phillies are. What do they stand right now? They stand 69 and 51. They're 5 games up. Okay, they got 24 games remaining against divisions. 7 Washington, 7 Mets, 4 Atlanta, 6 Miami, and they got 18 out of the division. They should win the division earlier. I remember being on this podcast early in the season where I said that this team should win the division. But Jay, I'm not sure I agree with you that they're built for the playoffs. There's something about the way they score runs. They score them in bunches, but they don't score them consistently. When they lose, they're scoring 1 or 2 runs. Their pitchers give up 3 runs, and it looks like, oh my God, he exploded tonight. He didn't explode. The pitcher did a good job. I mean, you give up 3 or 4 runs, you're still supposed to win a game. And you're not supposed to lose 3-1, 4-2. And that's what the Phillies traditionally do. And that's what I'm afraid that they're going to do in the playoffs. I don't know what I was looking for. Maybe something else at the deadline. I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sold on Thompson either. And the way he reacts to some of the ball players that he puts in the lineup. I'm not so sure that he produces the greatest amount of runs for this team and the way he sets that lineup. And if he's going to platoon Kepler with Bader, those guys are not going to hit. They need to play to hit. And as long as they platoon those guys, Kepler's going to have the same season he's having, and Bader's going to go in the tank. It's just not going to happen. He's got to decide on somebody, play him, roll the dice, man. That's what the playoffs are about. Otherwise, I see this team, filtering into playoffs again. They're not built to beat Milwaukee or LA, and that's where you got to go through this year. Milwaukee and LA, you've got to score runs.
See, I kind of disagree with you on the platooning thing. I think it works. I mean, I'll point to the '93 Phillies, right? You had Eisenreich and Incaviglia platooning with Wes Chamberlain and Milt Thompson, and you had Mariano Duncan platooning with Mickey Morandini. Like when guys like I think the guys on this team have proven track records of not being able to hit. Marsh can't hit lefties. He's just not going to do it. I don't care if he's playing 150 games or if he's playing 120 games. He's not going to hit lefties. Stott doesn't look like he can hit lefties. Kepler can't hit lefties, right? Bader can't hit righties. Weston Wilson can't hit righties. Sosa can't hit righties. I just think he's got to play the hand he's dealt, Thompson, and he's dealt with guys. And again, if you have guys that are guys that could play every day, I'm all for it. Like they just don't. I don't know what you guys think. I don't think they have the guys to do it.
That's logical, Jay, and I can understand why you say that, but they just don't hit that way. This isn't 83. This isn't 93. This team doesn't react that way. They don't platoon and hit. For some reason, and I understand the logic with the lefty righty, but it's not productive, and they don't play that small ball kind of game. So it's either it's feast or famine with the beasts on this team, and I don't know. That hits the wall every playoff.
Yeah, I mean the Dodgers pretty much platoon last year in the playoffs, and like in their outfield at least. Obviously, they had Freeman, they had Otani, Freeman. Those guys that were dominant. But you had Hernandez, Pachette, Pat Pages, whatever his name is. Even Hernandez, kind of the other Teoscar. Like they went with the hot hand. They went righty lefty. I don't have a problem with platooning either. I mean, unless you got guys that can consist. Like Marsh isn't going to hit against lefties. I don't care if he played
No.
5,000 times against lefties. He ain't hitting against lefties. I mean, Kepler can't barely hit again. He's not been great against righties, but
Nothing.
Jason alluded to it too. Like Bader, you could see the difference in his at bats from righties versus like they don't have guys that can play every day. Stott is another guy.
Right.
Like his only hit against a lefty is he throws the bat out there and he bloops it to the opposite field, which sometimes it works. He won the game against a lefty on an infield single that had to go to review to be called safe. Like they're not, they can get hits, but they ain't hitting against the guys. Sosa, Everybody wants to play Sosa. Jimmy D, I don't know your thoughts. I'm guessing probably wants to play Sosa every day.
You know what,
He's
Tom? The only thing I
he's
say I have
barely
a
better
problem.
than Rojas against righties. Barely better than Rojas against righties. I
I
mean,
think he'll be
and I don't care
exposed
how
if
many
he
at
plays
bats he
every
get.
day.
I'm sorry.
I just think he'll be exposed if he plays every day. I think
Yeah,
he's better.
but I'm saying so. Like you got that crew that wants, and he can't hit right-handed pitching. He just can't. It's you can't do something if the guy you don't have the guys to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't have any, and I think in the playoffs things change. At bats change. Kepler or Bear, like it's a different game where I think they could be more successful with the limited bats they have than the maximum amount of bats um, that they can have. Personally, I mean, and I'm ready for Castellanos to be platooned as well.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
Chalky, I know you wanted to kind of touch on that aspect of it, and I'll give you.
Well, yeah. I mean, Castellanos is. If you want to talk about who can't hit what, he's in the last 2-3 months he's been by far their worst hitting outfielder, and he is by far the worst defensive outfielder they have. So
I would sit him
he's in
against
the
a
lineup.
T at this point.
He's in the lineup because his name is Nick Castellanos, and
Yep.
yes, he's gone on some hot streaks in the playoffs for us, and he can get on a little bit of a roll, and he's getting paid $20 million a year or whatever. But honestly, like the three guys we talked about have all shown, Kepler, it's not in the stats. We can talk about hard hit or whatever, but he's getting some bad luck, but his average is still 208 or whatever it is. Bader's the best defensive outfielder. Well, Marsh is good too. I mean, Bader, I think, is more of a defensive play if you're willing to sacrifice the bat a little bit. Same thing for Marsh, but Marsh can't hit lefties. But Castellanos hasn't hit anything. He doesn't get walks. He doesn't get on base, and he's giving you nothing. Now might be one of those players where it's like, well, you hope he gets hot, or you can't platoon him because he just can't work in that kind of. I don't know, but
Yeah, I was gonna say
he's giving you the least of anybody right now of all the outfielders, no matter what offense, defense, however you want to look at it.
I was gonna say with Castellanos that more than the Baders and the Kepler, you do run the risk of he's a guy that you could lose. Like you start platooning him, he could just be like throw his hands up in the air and give you minimal effort. Then you got to sit him against lefties too. If you start, that's like you don't see that happening with the Keplers and stuff. So that is a risk, but he's also not hitting. So
Yeah,
it's
Tommy,
Yeah, and he didn't like getting benched. When was it?
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
A month ago, he complained about that. I mean, Kepler was complaining that he was told he was going to be the starter and he wasn't starting every night. So, I mean, you're not going to keep everybody happy except for maybe Bader or Marsh because they haven't complained outwardly. But
Chalky, what
yeah,
Castellanos,
there's no easy answer.
where he really hurts you, Castellanos, is he doesn't protect Harper. That's number one, and he's first
No.
pitch swinging
Nope.
all the time. So he's not trying to get on base. He's not trying to move a runner. He's trying to hit for power, slugger all the time. You're right. Sometimes he gets on that little roll, but for the most part, he's hurting you offensively, especially batting behind Harper.
So hopefully Bohm coming back because they are missing a
They are.
pretty good bat in the
They
lineup
are.
now. Bohm coming back could hopefully protect Harper. But Castellanos, what I think you do with him is you can't platoon him because Tommy and Jim, you guys are all right that you'll lose him. He'll start to be a malcontent and
Yeah,
everything
cry.
else. But against a tough righty, guess what? You said, right? You want to put Bader in the lineup then? You put Bader in center, you put Kepler in right, you put Marsh in left against a tough righty. Because he's not hitting them.
yeah. I don't know what else you could really say. Um, yeah. I mean, I don't know what else. Anybody think they're not going to win the division? I mean, like the Mets kind of. I don't.
There's no chance. The Mets might not even make the playoffs.
I agree. I mean, I don't think there's.
Yeah, I mean they'd have to severely. I think if they go 500 the rest of the year, the Mets have to play like 15 games over 500 or something.
The
like
Mets
that.
actually
It's
have
some
a tough
ridiculous
schedule,
number.
and their home and away splits are like way out of whack too.
Yeah.
They win substantially more at home than they do away, and the Phillies have
That is true.
one of the easier schedules I think down the road. So
The one thing I hope you guys are wrong is I got Wheeler to lead the league in strikeouts and get a Cy Young. If he goes out with a tired arm, I'm dead.
Cy Young is probably gone. Um,
Uh, well, Skeens had a
yeah,
shaky
but
outing the other
I
night.
Yeah.
mean, unless he goes on the IL, his strikeouts are right there. I mean,
Yeah. The one thing I do want to bring up is, and Harper's struggling a little bit at the bat, but I think Jimmy D had a great point where nobody's protecting him. Hopefully when Bohm comes back, that'll help. But he drives me insane. He still doesn't know what balls to go after and what balls not to go after in the field. Like last year, okay, I can understand. Now, at this point, like you got to know when the ball is going to be. If Stott's going to be able to get a ball, and he just doesn't. He still doesn't know that yet. I
I
don't get
just
it.
think he's just too aggressive. Like he has that aggressive
He's too
mentality,
aggressive.
and
Yes.
I think it just his first step is always to go for it, and
Yes, that is
so I
true.
think that's his struggle.
Same thing with base running. He's the same way.
Yeah,
He's too
yeah.
aggressive base running. Also, he's going to hurt himself base running. He's so aggressive. I'm afraid of that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got one speed. He's almost let's say Dykstra, but I don't think Dykstra was as like
Pete
one
Rose.
one speed. Yeah, well, yeah, before my time, but maybe Bros.
Yeah, me and Jimmy D. Remember
Kid, and I
Uh,
remember his father.
Charlie Hustle?
all right, I guess that's about it for the Phillies. So we will see how they progress. Hopefully they pull this game out as it's on right now. All right, let's move.
They're not going to pull this game out.
All right,
I'll put on the
What's the
record now.
score? I can't say.
It's
What's the
2-1,
score?
but Luzardo just loaded the bases with no outs in the
oh
seventh.
boy,
So
Oh, that's fine.
Good news.
so that's probably
2 walks.
well, he probably should have been taken out.
Why is he still in the seventh
Makes
inning?
He is now no longer in, but he had 80 pitches or something coming in, but he's thrown 20 with like no outs
Yeah.
in the seventh right
All
now.
right, well that's not good. All right, let's move to Saratoga. So we will cover the pick four, but I'm going to turn it over to Jimmy D first, as he has some stories to regale us of the auctions and Saratoga in general. So I'll let you lead this conversation, Jimmy D.
Yeah, Saratoga 2000. Thanks, Tom. 2025 has been very profitable a season for a lot of situations up here. First off, I've got to throw this in before I get into that. Did you see that Frankie Dettori caught a ride? Jason, I'll especially address you. Caught a ride in the Kentucky Downs $3.5 million race. They bumped that race to 2.5 million, and it's the Nashville Derby run at Kentucky Downs beginning of September. And an owner of a horse called Wilmington Hawkeye booked him the ride, and he's guaranteed to get 20% of the purse if they win of the winner's share. And they
Wow.
guaranteed him $5,000 just to come in the ride. So I only say that because I know what you feel about him, but somebody thinks he could still ride a horse. We'll see if that's true.
So here's the one thing I'll say about that. Kentucky Downs that's a European style turf course. They don't
Yeah,
they don't
maybe.
just run in an oval. Maybe there's something there. Maybe the guy just wants to meet Frankie Dettori because he's a Hall of Fame jockey. I don't know, but
Well, I'll give you
or somebody's paying him to get away from Saratoga for that weekend or whatever. Maybe,
I'll
I
give
don't
you a
know.
breaking
And
piece of
again,
news. Usually, Chalky gives you the breaking piece of news, but the sword dancer, the renowned sword dancer, which has just been run at
Oh,
Saratoga.
this is awful.
I know
This is
it's.
awful.
I know you were
I'm
going to
sorry.
say that, but will now be
Yeah, it's kind of weak.
comment turf race, stakes race. I'm not so sure that they should continue doing that. I'm sure they're going to do something for Lucas. It loses some of the luster. One of the reasons I was going to save this, but I'll go into it now. The Alabama was named for a guy named William Cottrell. William Cottrell was a breeder back when. Why did they name it Alabama? That's not his name. Well, he was from Alabama. He was sort of a humble guy, and he said, "Listen, if you want to give me any testimony, give it to the town." So they gave it to, the Alabama. And that has become a sticking name up here. It's like the test. It's things like that. That the Travers, they are just they're absolutely sanctimony. Their names are sanctified up here. And if you start changing them,
Mhm.
it's going to lose a little bit of luster. And I know that they had a sentiment because Christophe Clement won the sword dancer, I believe, 5 times with 4 horses. But nonetheless, that's not a great sign. But the select sales, they grossed $100 million at the select. They sold 160 horses. The median price of horses at that sale was 629,000 and change. That's a lot of money. The hit number 218 sold for 4.1 million, which was the sales topper, and the 3.9 half sister to journalism never made the reserves. It was an RNA. It was called back. So the sales were really lucrative. I don't know if that's a reflection of the stock market or just the economy in general right now. Even the New York bred sales, and that's a picayune sale. When I was involved with the New York horses, we were buying them for 40, 50,000. Now the average price they sold for the New York was 119 was the average price of a New York bred
Wow.
sale. Maybe again that's some more incentives for the New York breds with the breeding rights and stuff, but that's high. And the median price was 85,000. I mean that's ridiculously high for these New York breds. They run a lot of New York days in Saratoga. They run a lot of New York days down in Aqueduct right now, but I don't know if it reflects that kind of sale. They sold 199 New York Breads this year. Sales were mad. They were packed. The town is crowded. The town has been very, very much crowded. I got up here late this year in August, so I missed a lot of the rain. But you don't miss much rain in Saratoga because any moment it can rain. But places are packed. There's a new hip joint you guys might like if you get up here called the Treehouse on Route 9. It's pretty nice. It's an outdoor type of cedary. It's an IPA type place. They go in there, they drink their beer, they handicap their horses. Or you could stay all night if you want. I mentioned a place called Druthers on the lake. It's called Lago. Druthers owns it. It's beautiful vistas of the lake, man. It's nice. It's American fare. They got a new joint on Broadway called Bunkers, virtual golf joint. It's town is becoming more directed towards the 20 to 35 sector of people. It usually was they always targeted the older people up here, but no longer. They are still, there's still the restaurants that are big time restaurants at Asterio Danny on on Henry Street. Chianti, you guys eating there? It's great, or Ketty over there, and the Taverna Nova. The Frutta de Mare, they got Italian restaurants up the gazoo over here. It's really, really, they've been crowded. You need to be booked. We tried to book restaurants for tomorrow night for some friends coming up here. Can't get a restaurant. That's how
Hey
it's
Jimmy,
in Alabama. Yeah,
did you guys ever get a chance to check out the ramen place where Jimmy the Chalk almost had the
I
rescue squad
did.
call
I,
from?
I, I, I did. I couldn't figure out what you were saying last year, but we did. It was a nice little joint. It's a nice little
Did,
joint. They got a nice selection
were
of
you
beer.
guys crying too that the soup was too hot or no?
I don't know if we had the soup,
Oh, you didn't.
but
Okay.
yeah, what I'm saying is this season it seems to be in the couple weeks that I've been up here very lucrative. It's really been crowded. Everybody's happy. The vendors are happy. Everybody's happy. We'll see how the last couple weeks go because the weather since we've been up here has been fantastic. It was in the 80s. 85s in the first week. It got a little hotter in the second week. And right now, the projection is for some clouds and 50% chance of rain on Traverse Day. But my great weather prediction is look up in the sky, man. Because if it's raining, it's raining. If it's sunny, it's sunny. That's about all I can say about the mountain weather, man. Because it's fickle.
They had some rain today, right? Then I thought I
They
saw.
did. They
Yeah,
did
Yeah.
everything off the grass today.
yeah, I
It
saw.
was
I thought I saw
short
that.
but a hard rain. We've talked about that in the past. It's just torrentially downpours
Yeah.
here. That
What
they
are we
knock everything.
scheduled for Saturday? Did anybody look? Are we looking okay?
Dry.
It's supposed to be dry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
But it was
dry.
supposed to be dry today
Yeah,
also.
yeah, right, right. But as soon as you see them seal the track, Jason, you know it. Forget about it because the rain's going to be either a little heavier or a little longer than the
Yep.
weatherman has predicted, and that's exactly what
Yep.
happened. But most of these places that I mentioned, that restaurants and things like that, are walking distance from the track. If you guys get up here, and I hope you do, there's always room at the inn. Um, you know, come up and enjoy yourself and. This week we're going to hear Leonard Skinner and Kid Rock. It's Sweet Home Alabama week, so we're here.
Yeah, now we just gotta get them to do less gate scratches and run the races at the right distances, and
Good luck, Tom. Good luck.
we'll
Yeah.
be set. All right, let's jump into the late pick four Saturday, which includes the um, Alabama, as Jimmy D has referenced. So it's the second race of the pick four. These um these pick fours that we cover, pick fives, it seem to never end on the big races. So we always have to have some in betweens and afterwards. So let's kick it off. We're looking at a 5:11 start for this pick four. It is race 9. It does start with the very easy to handicap 2-year-old turf sprint.
Yeah,
Uh,
just very easy. I got you.
to get us right in the mood. Like you said, a 5.5 on the turf, the Skidmore for males at 2-year-old. So, Jason, I will start with you.
Yeah. I'll just say before I even get started, my pick four could definitely chalk out, but there's one race that I'm kind of honing in on a single, and then I'm going to spread. So this is going to be one of my spread races. Although I am going to make the two Sandals song my top choice. Horse went to Ascot. He kind of ran respectably. Finished third in a Group Two there. Um, but I think you also have to use my second choice is going to be the three Monster. He just has like crazy speed, and might be a horse that just kind of runs everybody off their feet. So have to throw him in. Also going to use the one Schwarzenegger for Ward. Debuting him in a stakes race. Must kind of think highly of him. And Ward stats are ridiculous. And the horse seems to have some sibs that are pretty good. I will throw in one price horse, the six Malice, for Pletcher and Rosario. Um, just a price play. I was kind of looking for some tournament plays, so might as well throw him into my pick four. So 2, 3, 1, 6 for me.
All right, I'm not drastically off, but I don't. I see this kind of being chalky. 2 was my top pick as well. But I also on Schwarzenegger, I did throw him in. Just a side note, he was supposed to run today. He scratched. I think he scratched after they announced the off the turf. So originally,
He did.
Yes, that's what I was going to bring.
Yeah.
He was not on the early scratches. He didn't scratch
so
That's
until I think the
correct.
weather
so
turned.
I am
So
going to throw him in only because I saw some I saw a bunch of chatter about him as a going to be a should be a fairly big horse. Like he was going to probably win today. Was obviously you don't know, but so that does give me some that they did want to run him today, and this I think was the because they had to. And then
Yeah.
and then the on the outside, Rice and Ortiz. I mean, they're a combination that are deadly. Anytime Adam Rice brings horses over and he runs Ortiz on them, they have a pretty high success rate. Um, he exploded in a state bred race. Now he's throwing him into this. He's going to be outside. He could sit off the speed. So I got to take a shot. So I'm 1-2-8, nothing crazy there. Chalky.
yeah, so I'm not using Schwarzenegger only because it seemed like they would have run him today. Obviously, if they keep him in the stakes race, they'll think highly of him. But I'll let him get one before I put him in there. So top choice, the 2 ran all right over in Ascot. Like mentioned, I also have the 3 Monster, like Jason said, and I'm also using the 4 Tough Critic. Now, I will say you don't usually hear this, but Pratt to Franco is a significant jockey downgrade right now. The way Franco's running, both him and Saez have been not good at all. Saez did get one today, I saw, but they've been on a streak, both of them. I guess Pratt is out of town because I don't see him on any
Nice.
horses.
Isn't he
So,
Isn't he serving a suspension?
oh, did he get suspended for the?
He
Okay,
he did.
gotcha. Okay, so yeah, so I mean he's not off by choice on this one, but I'm gonna go 2, 3, 4 in this one.
All right, Jimmy D.
I guess our reputation's on the line because I used Sandals' song on top. I only went too deep in this race, even though these 2-year-old races are just a crapshoot. And these this Skidmore, it's an overnight stake race. Some of these are overrated stakes, to be honest with you guys. they call them stake races. I wonder. Um, the reason why I went to Sandel's song was the jockey angle. Not just that Ortiz picked the horse. Irad Ortiz picked the horse, but he rode that Bobrowski the 7. He rode on the 8. He's had he's actually he rode the 3 also. So I mean, he's been on 3 other horses in this race, and he chose Sandel's song. So the fact is, James McDonald had him in Ascot, and James McDonald is arguably the best jockey in the world. He carried 129 that day. He's carrying 122. And I love Munning's broodmares. And Sandal was Munning's broodmare, an offspring. And I really like it. The horse is working well. I don't see, again, they're 2-year-olds. It's hard to say, but I'm not going to go that deep with this race because I think either the 2 or the 7. I got the 7 as an improving. Dale Romans didn't ride much, but the fat man who's now skinny, he's got 5 starts. He's 5 in the money this year, and one of his horses was this Bobrowski. He won by 10 going away that day. Is he good enough to win this race? I think he's good enough to get some money in this race. The 8 horse, he's finally coming into open company. I don't. He ran against New York Reds. I don't. I'd say 2-7, and I'd be comfortable going just too deep in the ninth.
Okay, let's move to the big race, the Alabama. Chalky, I'll give you the floor.
So here's my single for the sequence and probably where I get knocked out. I'm singling the 4 Nitrogen, and here's why. Now people are saying that Lacara might get out on the lead on her own. There's maybe no significant speed that's going to go out. I don't think Nitrogen will be too far off. Good Cheer threw in a clunker last time, first loss of her career, but she's not running that much faster than some of these other horses are. Now, Nitrogen has 1 race on the dirt. It was at Saratoga on Belmont Day when there was 3 horses in the race, and it was a bad track. So you can't take anything from that. But she has worked well on the dirt, which is why Cassie kept her in that race. She had the 1 dynamite dirt workout, and her number on both the Buyers and the sheets in that 1 dirt race was as good as anything Good Cheer has run.
Yeah,
and you can say it was ginned up in the.
You can't
possibly
make a two figure with 2 horses in a race. It's impossible.
Well, it's not just that race that they do the figure on, obviously.
But there was
you
no
can say it was ginned up because it was the dirt. It was whatever. She won in hand, and she's got a number that's up there. So
she might win, but
Cassie thinks enough of her.
Race. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, anyway, so she's going to win, and she's my single.
Jimmy D?
I'll tell you. Again, it scares me when we're on the same page. But you see this hat? I could probably sell this hat for something. 2008, an Alabama hat. You don't see that very often. They put everything else on eBay up here. I might as well put the hat on eBay.
Only on the locals. That's all I see it on now.
Well,
they keep that stuff forever.
Local, but I like Nitrogen. I like 4 also. I know the distance is a problem. But, I love the fact that this horse had stretched out a little bit in the Oaks and a little bit in the Edgewood, which is a 1:16 races, and won. And he was tracking all kind of last race. I think he should be laying second off the pace to Lacara. Can she get loose on the lead and win? Yes. So Lacara would be my second choice in that race. And I'd go 3 deep. I'd hate to go 3 deep in these fillies, but none of these fillies ran 1.25 miles. So it's hard to say how they're going to react on Saturday. But I would put Good Cheer in strictly by, drawing a line through the last race in the slop, which was horrendous. But before that, she was unblemished. So, to me, the race would go 2, 4, 6. Which is quite that easy if I was spreading up for a pick 4.
Yeah, I mean, my top pick in the race, and I almost would have singled, but I just don't want to. I have a single later on, so I just said I'm going to use the best horses to get by. But it was the 6 Lacara. I mean, I know you guys keep saying might be Lone Speed, but I mean, maybe we're looking at different PPs. She is Lone Speed. There is nobody going with that horse.
That's true.
So she's going to get out and move the pace back. and and she's proven on the lead she could be tough. Now she's run mile and an eighth successfully, mile and a quarter we don't know. Nitrogen, you know I'm almost against, but I'm not using two horses and not using nitrogen, and then the horse beat me. So I'm going to defensively play that horse. Has turf pedigree, so usually are longer, can go longer. So the mile and a quarter might be good for her. Um, she's a great at winner. Obviously, she's a good horse, so I not going to let her beat me. But Good Cheer is actually my second pick behind LaCara. You look at the races now; they were last year, but her races and paces that were kind of slow, meaning she's staying within, and that's an angle people have always. She stays close enough that she has the best late kick that she can get by these horses that can get loose on the lead because she's close enough. She's not coming from way back just because the pace was not fast up front. So good cheer is going to be my second pick, but I'm going to go 2, 4, 6 in the pick four. I'm buying this race pretty much to get by 2, 4, 6. Jason.
So this is the race of my single, and my single is going to be Too Good Cheer. I totally just think she did not like this track, this slop at this track. I know she's run on slop and has won before, not on Saratoga slop. All slop is not the same. Um, if you look at her numbers going into that race, like her thoroughgraph numbers, she had a great pattern. I just don't think that she liked that track at all. Um, I and I could be wrong about this, but Brad Cox has two horses in this race. I do not think he's going to let LaCara get out to an easy lead, just out walking the dog type lead. Now, I think the one is going to at least sit off of LaCara and try to keep LaCara honest. I think Good Cheer is the best filly in this race. I say she bounces back and wins this race. That's my single, the two.
So my only
Jay,
argument there is
you said
Irad's on the one. Irad ain't
I
sacrificing
understand.
Jose.
No, I understand, but I just think, I don't think he's going to gun her and just totally kill his horse, but I think he's going to sit off of her and say, hey, I'm right on your tail. Like, I'm not, I'm right here with you. I'm not letting you get out to, ridiculous fractions out there.
Jace, when you said all slop was the same, were you talking about the track or the women in the town?
Both.
Depends which bordering town we're talking about. They're
That's
not all
true.
built. They're not all built the same up there.
No doubt, James. No doubt.
All right, let's move on. Race 11 is a mile and a 16th interturf. A great 35,000 non-winners to two after the Alabama to follow up this race on the turf. This is where my single came. For me, the one is a stone cold single. So there's a lot of speed in this race. The one's going to sit a perfect trip on the rail, has a pretty good late foot, probably the second to only the two who's already lost at this level. I don't know. You give me a horse that's on the rail, sitting a great trip, has a good late foot against against a fast pace, and also dropping significantly from granted it's Monmouth, but Aqueduct, Keeneland was an allowance race, so significant drop. Um, Give me Pletcher, the one, and Saez for Spendthrift. That's my single. Jason.
Yeah, I'm spreading here. The one is going to be my top pick, assertiveness, just on the drop. And she's going to get a good setup too in this race. So, obviously, I'm using the one. I am using the 10, also Kid Crease. I know there's speed in the race, but a horse who has proven to like Saratoga, I always like that angle, slight cutback. Um, you know, give me the 10 Kid Crease just based on that. I'm also going to use the 2 Dakota County for Gargan and Rosario. Also a slight cutback. It has run well at the distance in the past. And again, I'm hunting for bombs and contests, so just throwing in the 9 Sky Masterson as a long shot bomb that I'll just throw into my pick four. So 1, 10, 2, 9 are my picks.
All right, Jimmy D.
I'll tell you, Tommy. I think it was the last a couple weeks back. I don't think you were here, but I said about that lousy business model, and but it wins. It wins for Karovich. It wins all the time. He gets a $650,000 horse, and he's a 3-year-old. Doesn't run all that bad, and then he drops him into a $35,000 claim just for the win. Now, unless they know somebody's not going to put a claim ticket in, I don't know why you would do that, but they win. I wouldn't make it my top pick, but I certainly would have assertiveness in the one. I like Dakota County. I think he's improving. Danny Gargan's had a pretty good meet this year. He's got 2 horses in this race. I like them both to hit the board. I put them both in my pick four as a productive angle. And the other angle that I would put in would be the 5 horse because Rice picks up a lot of Kentucky stock, brings them to New York, and does well at Saratoga. So my numbers in this particular race, I would go 4 deep because I went too deep in the first leg. I'd go 1, 2, 5, 7.
All right, Chalky.
So it's a spread race for me. Every horse I have has been covered, so I won't go long. I really want to. The Cardinal Sin is using a favorite defensively, which I'm doing with assertiveness. Jimmy, you talked about it. Like they're dropping in for 35. This might be like, oh, let's get some wins for the owner title. This horse just ain't that good either. But it's a $650,000 purchase.
His buyer
right?
numbers are best in the field.
But he's not winning. He's not. This field stinks.
Well,
but he's
not.
He's not running well in any other company. So he's not a good horse. It's not like they could be something better and they're dropping him in to get a win. It's they don't want the horse anymore. So that's part of it too. So my top pick would also be the 2 Dakota County. I also have the other Gargan horse, the 7 Landman Friday. Linda Rice's 5 already mentioned, and Kid Creases. So. Wasting money, but 1, 2, 5, 7, 10 for me here.
Before you go on, I just wanted to talk about that 5 because I can't use Linda Rice on turf. But then if you look at Linda Rice and Irad's numbers together, they're insane. So
that's kind of what ended up me there. Like they just it's a crazy number.
Her dirt to turf numbers are pathetic. Though.
The dirt to turf is garbage. That's what almost talked me off of it. But
I can't use her on turf. But I mean, Irad and her, you can't. I mean, how could you?
Yeah, but they also because they win a lot of the low level
and mostly dirt. I would like to see what their dirt. I should have formulated it, but to see what they are on dirt on turf together.
Okay, let's talk about how the pick 4 finishes off, and let's how we're gonna cash these tickets out. This is as we started a 5.5 turf race, state bred allowance. If this doesn't scream spread, I don't know what does. Jimmy D, I'll let you start.
Thank you, Thomas. I didn't spread, Tom. I used 2 horses in the last leg in the finale. Again, a New York bred race, the finale of the day after a 35,000 maiden. It's a hell of a way to end on the Alabama day. But I like the 4 horse. I like on the ledge. Bruce Brown hasn't had much success up here, but this is a 5-year-old that seems to be having just a productive season. He's 3 for 4 this year. And the one time he ran out of the money, he had an excuse. He was bumped hard. He led at the 3/16 pole last race against Similar. Courtly Banker was in there. And I think maybe he's due for a good race. And I'll tell you something, this Christopher Elliott is not all that bad. He's not laying Aussie. This kid he's going to get some stock. I don't know why the hell he's riding against the best colony in the world.
He's taken a significant drop though since he's lost the bug. I mean,
It's true.
Is a big. I mean, he's not getting the stock at Saratoga, but he lost those. I mean, he was riding at 119, 118. Now he's at 120. Like it's going to be. It's going to be a tough road.
Yeah,
for
he
him.
did 124. There's no question. But I just think the horse is improving. He's having the year of his life as a 5-year-old. And I kind of like him. I would also use Courtly Banker, who was second in that last race when they sort of, had a tussle against each other. I'm not sure if Katie Davis is back from Dubai. Who's going to ride that horse? I think she is. She's scheduled to ride the horse, and she's an offer, and she's not going to go over at this meet. That's it. I would use a 4-5 to close it out.
All right, I'll go second here because I had 6 horses that could possibly win the race. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And then what I did is I looked at the jockeys and I saw Chris Elliott and Katie Davis. So I immediately tossed the 4 and the 5, Jimmy D, unfortunately. So I will be using the 1, 2, 8, 10. Yeah, give me Carmouche, give me Ortiz, give me who's on the 8. Irad, give me uh,
Dylan Davis
yeah, and Santana on
for
the
the on the
2.
on the on the on the
And
10.
Dylan Davis on the 10. So I'm going with the better of the 4 of the 6 with the better jockeys. Um, so I mean I don't have much more to say after that. Chalky.
Almost identical. I have your 4 horses, but I am using the 5 in there. Now, Jimmy mentioned the race from earlier in the meet. I watched that replay. So the 2, 4, and 5 were all in that same race. The 2 got squeezed by the 4 and the 5. Ended up dead last, which is not where he won the run. Came on late, and it was only good enough for 4th, but had trouble. 5 ran a very good race, I thought, so I was willing to stick with Katie Davis there. The 4 wasn't going to win, but had no excuse to not run better. So the 4 in this race is out for me. So my top pick would be the 2, not for hire, but I would be 1, 2, 5, 8, 10, going 5 deep.
All right, Jason, close us out.
Yeah, I thought this was a tough race also, but I cut it down to 3 horses. Again, nothing crazy here. My top choice is the 2, not for hire. You know, in a turf sprint, when push comes to shove, you got to use Weaver, I guess, right? Also using the 1, spoken bluntly, with Carmouche and Levine. Um, And then again, I'm bomb hunting here, but I threw in the 7, Alan Touring for Franco and Quick, just off of last race. Kind of had some issues where he got bumped or gate. No, it was the gate he hit. So 217, 127, whatever you say.
Okay. Let's give out some tickets, Jason. You're on the floor, so keep it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you $1 ticket for $48 in total. Race 9, 1, 2, 3, 6. Race 10 to 2. Race 11, 1, 2, 9, 10, and then race 12, 1, 2, 7 for $1. It's $48.
Okay, and I'll give mine. I was 1, 2, 8, 2, 4, 6 in the Alabama, single to 1, and then I was 1, 2, 8, 10 for $1. That's $36. Chalky.
First leg 2, 3, 4. Second leg single to 4 nitrogen. Third leg 1, 2, 5, 7, 10. Fourth leg 1, 2, 5, 8, 10. 50 cents. That's $37.50.
All right, and Jimmy D, finish this off.
What I would do is make a little 50-cent pick 4. And remember this, Tommy, when you talk about Irad Ortiz and all those guys, as R.V. Pack said, no man alive ever paid his mortgage with a horse 3 to 5. Just remember that when you're betting those guys. But I'd pick 2-7 in the first leg, 2-4-6 second leg, similar to you. 1-2-5-7 in the third leg, and I'd close it out with a 4 and 5. I'd make it 50 cents. It cost me $24. I'm looking to make maybe $300 in that particular bet.
Yeah, everybody with a sensible ticket cost, which is nice. The pick 4s obviously keeps it down versus the pick 5. So hopefully we can cash out some winners. Thanks, Jimmy D. Any parting words?
I always have a parting word. You know that, guys, but I'll leave you with this. Um, I've been fortunate up here to write for a newspaper. Jimmy the Chalk knew that early in the 2000s and a couple times after that, but I haven't done it lately. They're doing a testament on which I've been invited to, which is nice, to Saratoga Special. It's a little publication up here, basically a racetrack gig, and it's a 25th anniversary. So I'm going to read you something I wrote for them. It's called Time Passages. It's with the apologies to Al Stewart, who wrote the song in 1978. So if you just close your eyes and come with me here for a second. I felt the beating of my mind go drifting into time passages. Years go fading in the falling light. Time passages. Buy me a ticket on the last train home. Saratoga. So many words have been written about her ability to capture time. Now, after many years of sharing her summer season, I truly believe Saratoga is a uniquely woven time capsule, with an extraordinary ability to release momentary images, familiar sounds, olfactory stimuli, and pervasively intimate feelings. Whether you enjoy her presence for a week, a weekend, or an entire racing meet, your senses are acutely heightened. Whether you are working on the backside in the racing industry or visiting the front side as just a racing fan, Saratoga somehow magically, mystically captures the essence of the images of one's youthful exuberance, a playfulness that we, as adult children, manifest in our hearts. Well, I'm not the kind that live in the past. The years run too short and the days too fast. The things you learn on are the things that don't last. Time passages. There's something back here that I left behind. Saratoga to this writer is indeed a measure of time. When Christmas approaches, Saratoga is 7 months away. During the Easter and Passover holidays, the anticipation, the wait is just a few months away. And then, as we knock on summer's door, Memorial Day, well, the spa season is just around the corner. Then opening day, Tom Durkin, or in this case, Frank Nirmati, and an excitable crowd yell their off at Saratoga. I pause for a moment, startled at how quickly the year really passed. A surreal sense overtakes me, while another Saratoga racing season is actually underway. As I get older, time seems to move much too quickly. Sometimes I just want to slow things down. It seems strange because when I was younger, my thoughts were just the opposite. I possessed all the time in the world, and events could not occur fast enough. But once the season is underway, the days move along at warp speed, a passing flash of light. Before you take a deep breath, the Jim Dandy, the Whitney, the Sales, the Sword Dancer, the Alabama, and the Travers have passed in what seems like a blink of an eye. Guests, visitors, and locals all continuously come and go on their favorite designated days and weekends. The unending wave of humanity that seems somehow to find the same section or that favorite picnic bench in the park and claim their own for one afternoon. When I look around at the spa, it's really all familiar faces that I see. The trek to Saratoga for their own special moments. Once they make that connection and it's linked, it is a sure bet that they will undoubtedly return. And naturally, as the years go on, there are faces missing. The passing of time creates some empty chairs, some holes in the wind. But inexorably, someone will take their place, most likely their child, grandchild, or friends that have been introduced to the Saratoga summer. And then September arrives with that dreaded turn of the calendar page, and the hopeful takes flight. The crowd thins at the end of the racing meet, and the summer season will soon be put to rest. I think many people choose not to be here for the finale. At least that's what I usually do. There's an inevitable sort of overwhelming sense of melancholy, a wistfulness that pervades the senses when the spa turns out the lights for another year. Fortunately, Saratoga is forever. So too are her enchanting characteristics and irresistible pleasures she affords her guests. She remains the great elixir. Maybe it's the water, maybe it's the air, or maybe it's in our hearts. I know you're there. You're just out of sight. Oh, time passages. Buy me a ticket on the last train home tonight.
Episode 168, Broad Street Hustle.